hope you hear me fine. I hope you hear me good. And this will be just like an hour ago. We did a group channeling about something, and we started to channel about Mars, Moon, and Mars. And my insight, my wish, I wanted to channel something about the history of Mars, or the Earth history as we've been channeled earlier. So in this video I will share that information which we got there. And this channeling is in Latvian, so and it's a really long video, 2 hours of video. So in this video I will just share a brief information and nothing that detailed as in channeling, just to share the overall information. So let's get right into it. So how it started that we wanted to do channeling about Mars and what's going on Mars and so on, and instantly I don't remember exact in words or exact in detail how all this information started to come, but what they said about the beings that live on Mars, they're genetically our not like ancestors, genetically like our brothers and sisters in terms, but they're different. And as Enrico was telling different, he said that they're different from from the purpose that we have more liquid lymph nodes in our body, but those beings there, they are more drier. They're more drier and they're more different, and they still have these. They are very similar. They said that Mars was a planet as Earth, with beautiful nature around it, and people living there, and like human beings living there, not like us, but really similar to us. What I saw was beings like little like elves, something like towards elves. They're a little bit sharper cheeks and a little bit sharper eyes, and also ears are a little bit sharper, like not surrounded, but a little bit like a little bit stretched like sharper. I mean, I have seen somewhere when I was looking for how do Pleiadians look like compared to the information I had, then there arised also beings like it. So there were such beings living there earlier. And at some point, when the fifth planet exploded, the Phaeton, as they call it, and by the way, those people who are right now watching on YouTube, I'm live driving here around in Riga. If you are from somewhere, just write and comment, hey, where are you from? And I will see it on the screen in this live transition. So the people living there, or beings, they said they are not people, they are different chassis, different genetical chassis. So they have different qualities. As such, for example, they are more drier, and many of them are bald. Many of them, the ears are sharper a little bit, and the oxygen on planet Mars is breathable. So it's in Snuiris. Okay, hello from Ireland. There is breathable, but they said that the air consists of some kind of, I don't know how it's in English. Let's say just SARS in Latvian, how they call it in English. I would say oxides, some kind of oxides. And these oxides have ruined the nature on the planet Mars. And then we got to the information what did ruin the planet Mars. And it got a little bit more into history. And so what happened what the beings that live there, Enrico telling, was that they're also family-like. They have the same qualities as we here on Earth have. They're the same family-like living beings. What I understood, they have really low supplies on food, and they are incarnated there to learn the survival. They learn to what they said is they are territorial. They protect, and they are not like protecting their territorial, but they keep their territory. And what they said, they are hosted into villages, hosted into cities and villages. The beings live. And what I understood that the Mars is divided into two hemispheres. For example, on the left and the right hemisphere, as for example we would look upon. And the left hemisphere, where these beings live, these human-like beings, they live where there is more sunnier and where there is more in percentage more light than in the other hemisphere. But what they also said is that the other hemisphere is divided into immigrants, other races that go there. As for example, they said that humans also go to planet Earth. Military, technically advanced humans go there also. Science fictions or something. And this territory is strongly divided, and the beings that live there, have these villages. And I said, as I understood, they are divided into 100 to 1,000 people living there, a village. And why the Mars is divided into villages is because they have lack of food, and they somehow what they normally day-to-day life look for is food, and they divide this territory. So for example, 1,000 people living there can harvest or can go through let's say 100, for example, 1,000 square kilometers can go through. So for example, if they're seeking for food, then this village has a special territory, like a circle type of territory, where every day they go through like from one side, the next day left, and slowly they go through one cycle of one circle complete. And they look for food, as I understand, was growing on the ground, and the nature there is really less. It's more like a canyon in America that we have. And they go around this nature and this no nature stuff, and they search on the ground. They said everything that grows where there is a hill, end of the hill. Everything grows there. And they go there and they try to find like something similar to a melon, but it's not a melon. It looks more like a rock, but in color of a rock. And then you open it, in the middle there is a little bit wet inside, and there is like a meal that they eat. And they said that they eat much less. They could live without eating more than a week. But still, it's really important that they have it, because the water supply for them, what I felt the visions, is really less. So they eat this one fruit that grows there, and it's nearly the only fruit that grows there, and they harvest it, and they always look for it to be fresh, not like fresh, but well grown. They don't take it while it's small, because we will come back later for it and so on, and have this. So by meanings of territory, they said that really they're territorial when they go, for example, to the next neighbors, and I understood they don't share with each other villages there. They keep a really huge distance from there. And I will stop somewhere there. And what they do is that if they want to talk with the next village, they just go to the borders of the village, and somebody else comes from the border, and they talk without crossing the border, that they're highly territorial. And Enrico was telling a different story. They were selling, for example, it's really different, but it's not good or bad from your perspective. For example, if we humans somehow we are also territorial. For example, if somebody comes in our room, we keep it in ourselves that I don't want that you are here, I want that you go away, and so on. But we don't tell this. We keep this in ourselves, and then we start to get anxious. Then we start to get nauseated or something. We start to get like a little bit angry within ourselves that you cannot tell it. Please go away. I want to be alone in my room. But the difference with the Martians are that the Martian people. If somebody is about to come in your room, they just tell it, don't come here, and that's it. And if they agree that you are allowed to come here, please step inside, then they can allowed to come in. For example, if the visitor comes in your room, then you allowed him to come in your room, allow him to sit. But if he wants to sit in that chair, when he starts sitting there, you will say instantly to him, no, don't sit there. And we did not allow to do that. That there are something like this. But they didn't say that it's a negative or positive inside. They said that they have more distinct this how do you call it, option, other than we, comparing to us humans. They said something funny about humans also, but everybody started to laugh. But anyways, So, and what happens later? They don't have no nature on it. They live in like caves. They go inside small caves, and what they said, for example, they have like this small hill insides, and there are winds that go. For example, on the insides of the hills, there's like a pattern where the wind goes, of fresh air goes. And they said that at some point air goes on top of the surface of the atmosphere, then it comes down on somewhere else, and it's more colder and it's more fresher. It's like condensated air, and they use this air for breathing. And the village is like in a special location where the hills make like a wind pattern, and then the houses are inside the ground. That they build a hole there. They don't build it. They like cavern it up, like dig it up, and the wind goes inside the hole, and then in their underground houses, villages, and it's just like a ventilation system that goes there. And they have no technology, no nothing. They are living like to our perspective would be like a caveman's. And then there was a small girl which we started to channel, and she was more like, I'm the most. And they said that they don't classify their children in ages. They classify their children in cycles. First cycle is baby cycle. The second cycle is when you start walking and talking and observing. It's like on our that's like from our perspective would be age till 5 or 7 or maybe 6 or maybe 5, and then from the next cycle, as they call it, the third cycle, is when he's ready to walk, he's ready to talk, and he's learning, and he's doing the logical thinking. And the next cycle is when he's ready to step on his feet, when he's ready to walk himself. So that's the next cycle. And another next cycle, the next cycle was when he is able to make others to stand on their own feet, stand on their own legs. In Latvian, it's something like to stand on their own legs. This is the next cycle, and the next cycle is something like the elder of the tribe, we would say, something that is here to serve others. And they said not everybody can achieve or be in this state. It's like high elder. And what I understood also from the information was that it's really hard to give birth to children. And the small child, she really wanted, the most loving and pleasant feeling she had was at evenings when she can sleep next to her mother and just like hug her. That was really a beautiful feeling. And what else was there? So the girl didn't talk too much. She just shared a couple of insights how she looked, and a little bit more about the clan where she lives. And then Enrico was talking also about the other hemisphere, the technological hemisphere, where there are these immigrants like us humans. And they said also that, for example, we as humans can go to Mars, and we do that, humans do that, but it's really difficult to get back, because once you are in the Mars, you start breathing there. It's a little bit, you can feel how you always breathe it. Your lungs feel the air. It's like intoxicated, or it's like with lots of oxides, I don't know, like metal, small particles. And it's like I believe you will get like itching feeling in your breathing tubes when you start breathing this air, and the body starts quickly adjusting to this air, and it's the body starts quickly digesting and adjusting also your overall usage to this new planet. He said the more you live there, it's more harder to get back on Earth, because once you get back on Earth, you will get so full with air, oxygen, you get dizzy, you get these anxiety feelings, like floating feelings, and it will be really hard for you to get back on Earth. And there are cases where people go to Mars and they wish to go back. I don't know, some kind of scientists, for example, that they have these special infrastructures on the environment where they live. For example, they go around the surface or in the caverns, and they come back, they have to have a special environment with wet air, with earth plant lives, and so on and so on, so that they can acclimatize back to earth climate. And then was a man asking, hey, how do they travel to Mars? And said nobody travels on a bucket full of gasoline to Mars, like inventions of rocket that is about to explode. They shared an idea how people go to Mars, or how they actually go to Mars. But what I saw was, imagine like a tunnel that, for example, somewhere in the desert here on Earth, let's say an angle of 15 or 30 degrees tunnel that's digged maybe 20 kilometers down inside the Earth, like a tube, but it was a flat. And imagine that there is not like imagine, but you imagine right now a really thin layer spaceship, like a blade. And this blade is not meant for lots of passengers, it's meant only for a few passengers. And this in this magnetical tube, where is a vacuum magnetical tube, they somehow accelerate this small thin spaceship. I saw it a triangle, more like a blade-like spaceship. It accelerates, and then it aims up in the sky, and with a really high speed. The vision was 1,200 kilometers an hour or something, and this blade easily climbs above the critical gravity levels. And what happens next is that it can use a small amount of fuel or technology that the spaceship has to climb out of Earth orbit. And then when it's out of Earth orbit, it can easily land on the spaceship. And they said that the military Earth technological people have a huge conventional spacecraft, like a carrier, or like a I don't know, like a base ship somewhere where there is a Canada, and next from the Canada we have the silent ocean, or how you say, the Pacific, I don't know, the huge ocean on the background Earth. And somewhere from there up in the sky and out of Earth orbit, so it stands still without it doesn't orbit around the Earth, but it stands still on a single spot. And in this, from Earth, you go there with this blade-like ship, and from there you can easily use the space magnetical pattern channel tubes. Like I understand, there's a magnetical fields that can take you to the Mars. It's like an ellipse. Something, I believe there's an energetical rivers that can take you there, to the Mars. And from the Mars you just land another orbital station, and then you get to the Mars. And this could be done in like maybe an hour or so. But this was and they said they use it really rare. And I was asking about teleportation, and they didn't show me any visions about it. And so I would not classify that any other methods exists, but this to me thought, man, this is a really good technology, a vacuum tube with magnetic acceleration, and also you can use like a highly, like an explosion type of acceleration, like with air pressure, for example, that in this vacuum tube, this spaceship is being from the back side of the spaceship, you highly compress air into it, like a highly compressed air, and then you pop out like a cork from a bottle from that tube, and it's thin, and you're like out in the atmosphere really quickly. But I'm not sure about this technology other than it was given in the channel, so maybe some of you are more familiar with this types of technology. Anyway, what happened next? But they didn't show me that they jump out of the atmosphere. They just show me this technology, and then you're okay, whatever. And so what happened to the Mars before it was destroyed? And they they showed, the image was that once the fifth planet in our solar system, the Phaeton, which is now destroyed, after it was destroyed, many inhabitants here on Earth and on Mars, when it was a green climate on Mars also, left these planets, and only few decided to stay there because they really loved this planet and they really wanted to be with this planet. And after the Phaeton exploded, divided into parts, the Earth, the solar system protective energy field was removed because how I understand it, this is so interesting. Somebody said, if you have a question, you just write it. I will see it on the screen. I didn't catch your name, but anyway. So how I understand it is that, for example, if you are positive, if you are smiling all the time, it's impossible for you to meet negative people, for example. And the same is with energetical fields. The more you are in the solar system, the more the same can happen to you. It's like an energetical field of free will that surrounds the solar system, that the superhumans that live on the Phaeton planet were generating this energy field, like an energy field of heaven, energy field of peace, energy field of our home. And because of that Phaeton, which got destroyed, and I shared it a little bit earlier in different videos, how it was, or why it was destroyed, the energy grid was disappeared. And in other words, there was a green light, and energetically that this solar system now is free for everybody to take. And lots of invasions started to happen, like wars between races about these territorial Earths and genetical banks and so on, whatever lives here, because it was a highly advanced civilization that lived here. And everybody also wanted to take like the genetics of it, to like a genetic like a bank, and it's like a value for many races, because if you want to inhabit another planet, the most easiest way is to use the inhabitants' genetics and mix it with your genetics, so that you can put this direction of the planet to a different direction, to adapt more of a different kind of a thinking in the planet, different kind of a existence in the planet. For example, Martians would not be able to come here and live on Earth. They would eventually quickly die because of the tremendous amount of oxygen, water, the dense qualities, but they're more drier. They will not last long. Eventually they will have some many types of diseases because it's not compared to. But if you take the genetics from us and mix it together with Martians, you have some kind of hybrid that's capable of being a little Martian, a little bit Earth-like, and it has the mixed capabilities. So it has the thinking like Martian and so on. Another thing, Martians are more human-like, but they're not human, and they are really like logical, like in terms of keeping a clan together, keeping themselves together, and point to point looking out what they need to do. What I understood, that they have everything planned out. Everybody has a small portion of food what they are supposed to eat, and everything is like divided and calculated. They have found a way of living out their lives in the small resources they have, like absolutely nearly no resources, and like a resource type of a thinking. And what else was there when we get closer to the destroying part of Mars? No, this is after it's destroyed. They have this no climate and no resources. This is after they were destroyed. And what else was there? Okay, so Mars has two artificial orbits around, stations orbiting around. What I understood, they are leftovers of the super advanced civilization that lived, the superhumans, as I call them. And these superhumans, they were importing rocks, like something like we all have the Dolomite rocks. And Enrico was telling, firstly, so scientific, a scientific look to it. Imagine a rock like Dolomite, which is it's a little bit inside the earth. dolomite plates, or how they call it, and melt this dolomite into like a liquid, for example, and then mix it together with conductive crystal parts, like something like we mash soup together with salt, and salt is in all parts of the dolomite, and then you take it back to the dolomite as it used to be in the form and temperature, and it's like a solid rock again. Now, but what you do then is it becomes conductive, and what it means by becoming conductive is that if you amplify energy to it, it consists of the same earth material, but it becomes more and more conductive, and it starts generating its own and amplifying its own energy field. In other words, it becomes levitating. It becomes a levitating rock because it starts floating into earth energy. So, and these conductive materials were imported from other planet. The superhumans brought those materials there, and they said, but the superhumans also built the pyramids. Yes, they built also the pyramids, and also inside the pyramids they had this rock. And wait, there was an interesting information I only know, and the information was that the pyramids. Ciao, yeah, hello, Kaspers. And the pyramids inside also had this rock, but they used this pyramid to align the earth polarity from the pyramid. And it was really strange how you can do it. This rock inside the pyramid, aligning inside the energies, can center the polarity of the earth. You can change the polarity of the rock in the Giza pyramids, which we know. And this is actually something really interesting which I'm thinking about now, because I forgot this information. And what does it mean? It means that I always have saw in the channelings that pyramids were in a green climate, that the Giza pyramids were in a green climate. So maybe they changed the polarity of the earth, or maybe adjust it to be in the polarity as it's supposed to be, or keep in the polarity. Anyway, what happened later, that this rock also, they said this rock was many times on planet Earth also discoverable and findable, and it was somewhere around this Earth also. These parts of these rocks were also there because leftovers of the human, superhuman civilization. But what I saw in channeling, that there were humans that also were extracting these rocks and selling them away to other civilizations as I don't know, I saw the military guys, and also that they were consciously taking away this rock. Yeah, divine existence, yes, I call it superhumans because they were so capable and powerful of many things. So that's why I call them superhumans. And these leftovers of the superhuman technologies, the imported rocks or crystals or something that looked like dolomite, were taken away. And also Mars, Enrico said, that has 2 artificial satellites orbiting around it, like small stations. And these small stations are just leftovers of the superhuman civilization. It's something like a dome, like a spherical structure, but on the bottom of the spherical structure there is this rock, this plate of the rock. And what happens then when you step in, and what I understood, these spherical structures were hovering around the Mars, landing at one point, picking up passengers, and also hovering around the Mars like an exercise, like an excitement. And then at one point when they just left these rocks, these orbital stations, just hovering around. Let them be on their own will, they're abandoned. And these rocks are still there. And how I understand, how Enrico was showing, that whenever you are coming across with this conductive rock, dolomite rock, you can take it in your hand, you start giving the rock energy, and it starts starts becoming conductive, and slowly you can feel warmth from this rock. And the more you do it, the more you feel the warmth, the more you can feel also that it will start to anti-gravitate, then start to levitate. And this is how you start to conductor of this crystal, this dolomite rock, and maybe it's still somewhere on the Earth also, because the Ed Leedskalnin, which is Edvards Leedskalniņš in our pronunciation, which was a Latvian, he went to build coral castles somewhere in Florida, and as far as I know, he was managing to do the same to any material that he came across to. So maybe if you are more familiar with it, you can just have a look at the coral castle. Maybe that's something similar. It's almost midnight here, and after the channeling, I just wanted to share this information while it's still fresh, so I can go easily to sleep. And so what happened? How was the planet destroyed? And now we get to the really creepy part. After the Python was destroyed, everybody abandoned Mars and Earth, and some of them went inside Earth, some went away, some of them to Pleiadian star system went, and this happened maybe 400,000 years ago. And at that point, Earth didn't have the orbital station Moon, which we have right now. And then what happened was that the Mars inhabitants that stayed on Mars decided that they want to stay no matter the danger what happened. And there was invasion on the Mars that happened. A reptilian type of beings appeared on Mars, but Mars was in a green climate then. And these insect type of reptilian beings, as Dan Rico said, you and me are self-conscious. We are like a personality. We are individuality. But these invasions, they are like a virus. They have no individuality. They have no self as a personality. They are like parasites that are just like an invasion, and they multiply quickly. They multiply quickly. And because of the Mars situation, it's farther from the Earth. Mars doesn't have temperature rises and highlights and lowlights. The volatility of the temperature rises up and down isn't that great as we on Earth have here, and the sun is not that much on Mars. It gives them a more harmonious place for them to live. For example, they said also that on Mars, the temperature is really nearly not changing that much for a couple degrees, and also the planet structure itself. On the sunnier time it warms up, and at darker times the Earth is still warm. So the Earth itself provides like a warm for the people to live inside the caves. So it's a different climate there completely. And so these insect type of reptilian type, I saw them dark green and nasty, quickly walking, really. But they had heads. That was strange. What I understood, they also ate human beings. But they were really aggressive and really nasty. And they were like, what I understood, they represent the collective consciousness. If you take out one, it doesn't matter anything. The energy floats together with all the others, and they're like a group of the overall, these bugs are like or insects, they are like a group of single consciousness, and you cannot destroy it. It's like what I studied, that every tree, nearly all the trees there were infected by these small eggs, and these creatures started just take over everything. They're just like nasty. And they said that these bugs, they move from one planet to another planet. If they take over one planet, they infect this planet, and they somehow manage to move to not somehow, I didn't saw it, but they said that they move to another planet, to next planet, to next, and they just completely can destroy the planet. And what happened there, that there was another artificial satellite from Jupiter that came, like a much larger moon, that was like here. They saw it, and they decided to destroy the atmosphere on the Mars, and like a huge explosion, I didn't saw where they traveled, these bugs, but when they invaded this solar system on Mars, understood somewhere from the direction of where the phyton was. I didn't know they teleported in, or they somehow arised in. But Enrico said that you can have no worry, no creatures of such can ever live on your climate, because your climate is much different. They will not last long. And they said also there is no chance that they can ever come to this planet as we have here. But what happened there, that they were so infected, this Mars, so quickly, that another and this was really long ago, and Enrico said, do you really want to hear this? Everyone said, yes. I said, okay, but we are not pleasant with the information that we want to share, so at your will we are against this information, but at your will we have no choice but to start sharing this information. And they started sharing that these let's say bugs, these insect types, these reptilian type beings, but they're not they're like a empty chassis that just is connected to the system, and it just runs around, and it's like a singular consciousness is controlling that system mechanism. It's like us. For example, imagine me as a human divided into many small humans, and we are as one. We work together as one. Like those hundred work together as one. My arm, 1 second my arm, so they're connected. And they started to spreading all over the planet, and they started really aggressive wars between the existing beings living there. So the Jupiter, the new arriving orbital station, they did somehow like a explosion that spread out throughout the Mars atmosphere, causing huge oxides, and these oxides teared off completely these bugs, and also it took off all nature. It took all nature, green plants. It took off everything that was green, and so the planet there was completely destroyed, the atmosphere. But it still is breathable. They can still live it, and they decided, okay, let's do it, and the risk is much greater. We need to do it, and let's just like to tear them down. And what happened then, the leftovers of the creature, they started, like the beings, the humans that live there, they're not human, they're different chassis. The beings that were inhabited there, because of these oxides that were released, they started to slowly mutate to different beings. These elf-like beings started slowly to mutate to different beings. They started to live inside these caves just to be more away from these oxides that are outside. These oxides, I don't know, these gases or whatever they are called, I don't know the chemistry so much, they lowered into the ground of the Mars. And these oxides are not so active on the air anymore, but they're in the ground, something like metal shards that creates this color red, like small metal shards. So these people went to live inside the caves, and because of the long life they lived inside these caves in darkness, I would say, their eyes got bigger. They got bald. They had no hair because of these oxides. They had no hair on their body also. Their skin changed. They're like some of their capabilities changed, and another not capabilities but like visual and technical parameters changed through the process of evolution. And what they said, that beings that live there, they need to incarnate back. For example, you die on Mars, it's nearly you have to incarnate. There are exceptions, of course, but you have to incarnate back on Mars, because your soul experience has survived on Mars, and you have to go back because the beings there need your intelligence that you have got, your experience that you got by surviving on Mars, and you need to continue this journey. And the beings on Mars, they had this history somewhere printed on walls, and they are willing and they are waiting for the good times to come back. They are waiting for their brothers and sisters from other galaxies to come back. They're like waiting for it, and they need to live out this cycle. It's hard to survive there. It has to be logical, well planned, tactical there to survive. and you had this experience, and you need to come back to continue it, to give it this, to teach others to survive, because there is a really narrow bridge of so a surviving pattern, let's say, a surviving strategy. And so these Jupiter, this spacecraft that came from Jupiter, this orbital station, they exploded something. They like a gas that caused a chemical reaction, and this gas was like a instant poison for the insect type of beings, these insect type of invasions. And so there is somebody here in English who, if you have a question, you can write it down on the YouTube chat. I can have a discussion about your question. But slowly, whoa, what did I do wrong? I didn't see, I drove slowly. Okay. There was a bump. So, but there was so much more information there, man. There was, I'm talking like 40 minutes, but the channeling was hour and 40 minutes. So like twice of more information was there to put out, but I don't recall that much information what was there. They were sharing also information about the moon, why does the moon affect us and so on. And they said, Enrico said that moon, you can look at moon as a solar panel. The more sun starts shining on the moon, the more energy. In terms of electricity, not like electricity, but for example, if a sunlight is shining on something, for example, it starts accumulating energy on that thing which is shining on. Like for example, like a plant, like a flower, it takes that energy from the sun and it uses to ground it in the earth or whatever. It uses like a process of so we could say of radioactivity or microactivity that causes the cells to everybody to like become active and starts to hi man, yeah, hi. Okay, no questions, keep driving. So, and something like a solar panel, for example, it gets energy and converts this energy. Okay, I will read it. Okay, like are the gray aliens something similar? Somebody has heard that they said the aliens are gray aliens are similar, like a biomechanical robots. After this channeling, which had about the the insect type of the beings, I would say yes, that many beings can be like a bio robots. Many beings can be like it. And it's technology, and it's a technology that can be used. Another thing, I remember we channeled also Pleiadians, and they said that no Earth will ever be given away to these insect type of the beings, because they just want to grow on our climate. They want to eat our climate. They want to be on our climate, the Earth's climate. But yeah, I just remember, and they said that if these insect type of beings they invade Earth, they would want to change the climate, so the climate is more darker, so that they can have this humble home, nesting, like they have they lay these eggs somewhere in the not so sunny places, or like the eggs, and then the more insects come out and so on. I remember now. Okay, I will stop here because I need to talk a little bit more. And the Pleiadians said they will never ever allow this to happen, and that was something interesting. Something I manifest beings in the sky that move like slow stars, or slow satellites that come at I didn't manage to read the question. So about the moon, okay, let's like this. About the moon, Enrico said, so when the moon has sufficient amount of sun shining to it, it starts accumulating this statical type of electrical type of energy, and the moon itself starts to vibrate and resonate a little bit more. And they said that here on Earth, these full moon cycles can easily be measured on the energetical wave patterns that you can see. Okay, these waves now start to ride. This is for the moon. yeah, I see these beings in the star that appears like a moving stars. Yeah, but many things in the sky are just orbiting satellites, so you don't see my face. But wait, I will drive a little bit to the back. Like a dark night, my face slowly starts getting visual. I cannot drive anymore to the back because I'm already on the road, but maybe I'll drive just to the front, to the next lamp. Okay. So yeah, that was interesting. So what happens then is that the moon itself starts. Yeah, okay, they are not satellites. Okay, so the moon itself starts creating a vibration that causes many things on Earth to have, like they said, for example, if you are from a person that is active, like active in energy and so on, then on the moon type full moon days the energy gets a little bit blocked because of the vibrations from the vibrations. So, and what they said that these people on full moon, they had this anxious feeling that this energy is a little bit blocked. They want to do something, but then again this energy is blocked, and they're like, they want to put out this energy, and they get this anger that they feel that something is not done, something is not correct, and they especially it can happen more to women because women are more activer, but it depends from being to being, because another being can be human can be more peaceful, and it doesn't feel like this affected more because the energy is much calmer, and it can be different. So anyway, what else? As I said also that there are materials that from the moon vibration of the moon on the full moon cycle, that these materials become more and more conductive, more and more active. And what I understood also, something like again with the terminology as levitation, terminology as something like this coral castle builder, the Edwards Letskanish that was building, I believe there are like qualities that you can do, and you can process materials on a full moon days, that these qualities and these energy qualities can be more and more helping for you. And they were showing me visions or insights what it is and how it works, but I have no understanding what it is and what can I do with it from my own perspective. But what I saw is another dolmen rock that it starts to communicate, vibrating more and more active from the full moon energy. And then what happens is it can be used for like energetical purposes, like for example teleportation, like anti-gravity, like and many stuffs. But the overall object was that it becomes activated from the full moon, but not all objects, but some. So that was also something which I would look moon upon a little different. And then they said about that why the moon shines, and they said that it shines, it reflects light. He said, but nothing reflects light. He said, well, no. Imagine snow. Snow has these small crystals inside it, and when the light reflects in some kind of angle, you can get like a reflection from a glass. You get like, oh, it's small shiny like crystals on the snow. And the moon's surface is something like this, like little smiley dusts of these crystals that can create this brightness feeling much higher. And then they said the hollow effect, which was something I have never heard before. And I don't know if the name hollow is something that exists by the definition what they were sharing. When there's a round planet and the sun shines onto it, and these reflective, they said that light has a wave pattern that also goes through them, like a wave, and it reflects this wave back, and then the wave goes back like this, and there are many more waves that go back and correspond from the wave that is going there, and they create like a hollow fog-like effect in the patterns where they touch together. And it creates like when you look on planets, it creates this hollow type of like a fog-like light around it. it creates this hollow effect, and thus it creates for you a much brighter insight. What happens, as I understood from them, that when these wave patterns merge together while reflecting back, they bring this light back to Earth, from which we look as upon as a reflection, is more increased because of the corresponding waves from the angle that was coming back from the Earth, and thus it creates the hollow effect. And this was something for me was something interesting. That how does it work? And it was like hollow, and they showed so much technological stuff in detail that I was like a little bit amazed. It's not in Enrico's style to share detailed scientific comparisons in terms of technology, whatever. Many people in the room were really happy about this information, and they were, man, this was so exciting, so interesting. And although I didn't share the detailed information because I forgot what was else. Another thing is channel. They come back and like, okay, how long was the channel? What you were before actual base on Mars? Who owns it? Okay, about the bases on the Mars, who owns it? What I understood from the channeling, I didn't see anybody as ownership or something. But what I understood from planning, there's a corporation with humans and another civilization that inhabits the other right side of the hemisphere of the Mars, and it's understood it's a technological base. And what I understood from the channeling is that many of technological, scientific stuff you cannot do here on Earth, because many of us will become quickly familiar with it. Oh, some huge technology has been seen or something like this, or from satellites or whatever, that they test it and they do many of science projects on Mars. And if there's something that can be upused, like the military guys, for example, or scientific crew, that can be upused here on Earth, that they just bring it this small, you can have now, you can mobile phones, you can use them, but most of them is done on Mars. So it's like a scientific, what I understood, a scientifical playground hemisphere, but I would not say it's mainly this. I would say a small or like a one angle part of the Mars side has this this information which I shared, this activity which I shared, but the interesting thing was that I'm not sure, but really is the hemisphere or the territories from the technological cities really that with metal borders? I was like, man, it's really, and it's divided. It's like nearly 35 or 45% of the territory of the Mars belongs to these immigrants, these human immigrants, not only human, but these immigrants that are there. So that was strange. I just remembered the movie Men in Black, and I remembered something landed like a meteorite on the planet, and then one of these agents came and took a sample, and he said, please not the bug, please not the bug. And the sample showed we have a bug, and then they started to do some kind of a quarantine or like a danger signal or something. And now channeling this all information about these bugs or insects, I would say, man, this is even more interesting. It's like, hey, it's like, who make these movies? Or like for example, like the movie Avatar, for example, who make it? It's not like no single human mind could make such a movie. It's like for me it seems like people who smoke a lot of weed, do a bunch of channeling or drink ayahuasca or something, they can make such a movie because they take it from another planet or another, and they make this movie and they mix it together with art. It's like it's not a logical mind that to make such a thing, and also it's not logical mind to make a movie like The Man in Black. It's also not a logical mind to make the movie Matrix, for example. It's something more beyond. It's like, and then but you already know how these movies are made. Somebody just channels information and puts that information in, and because it's something that exists, it resonates with us and we like it. Okay, so I will take this in my hand, and another question. So the Mars, from my information which I had, is divided into Martians, which are human type of beings, family type, caring type, territorial type, beings that I talked earlier in the video, that are logically fighting for their survival. No technology is for them. And the other part of the Mars, or 35% of the Mars, is divided into other hemisphere, which is more in the darker side of the Mars. So the Mars has one side a little bit brighter and one side a little bit darker, and that darker side is for immigrants, such as human scientific research labs and scientific I don't know, whatever they are doing. We didn't channel that much. We were more talking about we were more channeling the Martian type of beings. And also spacecrafts go to that part of the hemisphere, and they said that these humans that go there really in rare cases can come back to Earth because of the adjustments to the climate there that they go through. Okay, what happens is I click this. So divine existence, I answered your question. Are there more questions before I stop this broadcast? Let's say 3 more minutes. Imagine I'm driving around with my phone. You can have a look what's around. I can switch camera. This is the car, this is the house, this is the time, and the temperature -8 degrees. And this is mirror, this is the tree, which do not exist on Mars. Thank you for the 7 likes. Appreciate. I like thumbs up. Cool info, Matt. Yeah, thank you. I like sharing this, and I really like this way of. I really like this way of how you call it. Mobile phone live streams. This is something crazy. Can just go around and drive and have a chat with you, and then when I click stop broadcasting, it's instantly online. So no editing, no camera, no nothing. And we today just did a live stream also for channeling. Like, I don't know how many people were there, but when I click the stop broadcasting, it shows how many people watched, how many were in the peak time. So it was like 140 people watched, and at the peak time there were 30 people there. It's like interesting. It's like, imagine people in New York, in Canada, in Brazil or somewhere are watching this. And when I was talking in the seminar with other people there, I was amazed by this, and they said, yeah, you are amazed by that you are watching us from a different country right now on live stream, and not amazed by talking to a Martian. About that, you are not amazed. I was like, I had a joke on it. That was funny. So yes, and the girl on the Martian was really loving, really nice. I really about the game on the Mars. They share the game which they are playing, and this game gives the children logical thinking. So I will share this and I've finished this video. They have like a circle, which is a flat circle, like a field circle, like a playground, a circle. And they had these spherical balls, looks like a rock type of a balls they had, which when you throw it, it rolls over on the ground and stops at single point. And they play this logic game. They throw these balls inside the circle, like one and then a second and then a third, and you need to do, when you start rolling the third one, make a triangle of the other rocks that are inside. Make a triangle, a geometrical pattern, make it. And they try to throw it to make a triangle. And then next ball, make a four corner, like ball, throw the ball somewhere to make it it's not a square, it's with four similar corners. And then throw another ball to make another triangle next to it. And you're always in this geometrical pattern thinking. And what they said is that it teaches the kids to have logical thinking, advanced logical thinking. In the earlier ages, it teaches them to do planning and territorial thinking for the kids. And what I saw in those regions, if you play like this, you can always have, okay, what I need to do. If I plan it here, you throw it here, the ball rolls over and stops there. Okay, now I have a square. I need to make, I don't know the shapes in English, the names of the shape, a different shape, like a hectogram or something, I don't know. Okay, I need to throw another ball here, another bear, and you go like this with planning. You go always like planning. You do this, and it develops these children developed logical and strategical thinking, and that was really interesting. This game I liked. So anyway, if you have any questions, quick. If no, then see you guys on the next live stream. And I'm really amazed about these live streams. I'm looking as a future of the way of sharing information now. And I even bought myself I'm gonna, and people who are more and more interested in this. We are looking, so the question is, am I going to channel more information? Yes, sure, I would love to channel more information. And we plan to do, we can do like a live stream channeling like this also, it's no problem in English. But the really problem which I come occurred to is that people have different time zones, and it's really hard to get them all on the single time frame. So there's somebody in Canada, somebody is in Japan. It's different time zones, so it's different. And so yes, we will channel. And people there said that I was like thinking, okay, so the next week we channel again. And I'm like, okay. And the next plan is for me to discover, or for the channeling to bring through information about what happened before it was destroyed. Okay, the insects arrived. What happened before that? What happened? Okay, the Martian climate was green. It was like Earth's little sister. What happened then and afterwards, till the time of these insects that inhabited the planet Earth, invaded the planet Mars? So this is the topic we should discover. And I don't know why the ancient history for me is something really excited. I know it's no use of it other than excitement, but it brought out the whole picture. Who are we here, and why are we here, and what are we doing here? And for me, it brings out the understanding, like, hey, we are not some kind of a, I don't know, whatever we are, strange humans or whatever, but we are here when we have our history. And it's something like in another video, Enrico was telling that, and I was telling a different elder in Latvia, like a lady who lived in the year of 1200, and she said that every information of every incarnation human has had here on Earth, your blood path that goes back to your father, your father's father, and so on and so on, your body now has in cellular level the memories, intuitive memories in our cells that, for example, what our ancestors have learned to survive, we have the memory here in our evolution, and thus then we can survive those times now much easier, because we have calibrated and learned. Our fathers have learned to live in those times that they were living in. They have learned to survive in these times, and thus we have here the memory, intuitive memory of evolutional memory, that we can survive ages like that much easier. So for example, Mars is going also through a state of evolution, surviving and learning to survive these qualities of these low resources and strategical planning of using effectively all those resources that they have, and keeping the tribe together and doing this, calculating it and learning this, and they will have this so strongly, those genetics will have it so strongly in their cellular memory, that the evolution at front, that they will have these beings on Mars, they will have this as a strong memory and a strong talent that they will definitely use in the future. So, and we also have it, but different, because of why cannot they put the planet back to their system how it was earlier? Understood, because of the other hemisphere on the planet that's been used for immigrants, and the time is not right for them to arrange to some kind of a recovery back. But now I believe that also these immigrants can help, technology immigrants can help to bring it back also together. They will start bringing this climate back. So, for example, people from Earth start going there to Mars, and they can climate it back. But still, those are immigrants to the Martians, and they will have to learn to survive together with them. But I'm not sure. And they said that they are waiting for their ancestors to arrive back from the other galaxies that they went to, but they said they cannot do it right now because of the other hemisphere that's for the immigrants. Okay, enough talk. I want to go to sleep also. So thank you very much. Stay tuned. Artline, offline, peace.info. Just click the English flag, and I will put some planned channelings there before I do these YouTube channelings. And also we have a forum there we can chat, but by now the English version of the site is not actively used, so you can just leave a message there, so for others just to chat on later when they appear on site. But anyway, thanks for listening, and hope it was useful. For me it brought so many insights, but I'm not able to think about that much about them too much now. Okay, so bye. I will not turn off the thanks. Bye. Okay, so bye everybody, see you next time.